With free agency quickly approaching for the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals have an opportunity here to change the dynamic of this year heading into the 2023 season. Here are my top targets for the Arizona Cardinals heading into this year's free agency class. Alright guys, welcome back in. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, what I want to do in this video is talk about my top targets heading into this year's free agency class. But before we get started, definitely do me a huge favor, smack the like button on this video and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On the road to 12K, ladies and gentlemen, and can't do it without you guys, so definitely subscribe it up. And don't be one of these guys here, right? We have so many people that are just hovering over this channel. If you like what you hear, definitely go ahead and join the family and subscribe. Also, follow me on all my social platforms so you're getting a lot of the news a lot faster than I'm able to make a video. So definitely go ahead and follow me on all my social platforms. Everything will be in the description of the video. Alright everyone, let's get started here. Let's go ahead and talk about free agency frenzy. Now, if you guys do not know, it is set to start on March the 15th, which is on a Wednesday, but we usually do get some news Monday or Tuesday of the days before that Wednesday. So obviously it's not made official until the calendar year turns over for the NFL season. So just kind of keep aware that March 15th is the date that we're looking for free agency frenzy. So let's dive right into this, right? Now, this year's free agency class is very tricky for the Arizona Cardinals. Right now, we have about a little over $13 million to spend heading into this year's free agency class. Now, I really do think it's going to be very important to figure out what the Cardinals are going to do with DeAndre Hopkins, right? He's taking a lot of the, cap space for the Arizona Cardinals, along with a few other players. So if the Cardinals did truly want to open up some more space, they can, but it is up to Michael Bidwill to do so, right? As well as Monty Ossenfort to restructure some contracts. Now, obviously, DeAndre Hopkins would probably be one of the biggest candidates to try to restructure his contract. It's not like he's taking a pay cut. It's most likely he's going to be getting more money up front more than anything. So if that's were to happen, I can see the Arizona Cardinals opening up some more money, right? Open up some more room heading into this year's class, because right now, $13 million, you can't really get very much for that, right? You could probably get a chocolate chip cookie in a candy bar, right? In your local convenience store. I'm just kidding, right? You can definitely get some good players, especially if you can get some people on the cheap, and this is who I kind of really want, heading into this year's class. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you my top targets with the understanding that the Arizona Cardinals hopefully open up some more cap room. I understand some people that I'm going to mention here is going to be asking for a lot of money, and we might not be able to afford it, but what I would want is the Arizona Cardinals to at least try to make this a contending year, right? I get rebuilding is inevitable, but I mean, that doesn't mean we can't make a playoff push, even if we're rebuilding, right? So let's dive right into it. Now, I do think that the Arizona Cardinals have the exact same needs that we had heading into this last year, right? Cornerback, offensive line, and defensive line. I feel like it's still the same needs for the Arizona Cardinals heading into this year's free agency class as well. Now, a couple people that I kind of want to, have my eye on is one of them being Jamel Dean, 6'1", 206 pounds, played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's only 26 years old. Now, this last year, 2 interceptions, right? No forced fumbles, 45 solo tackles, but his career 7 interceptions, was drafted with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and honestly, I really do like Jamel Dean as a cornerback. Now, it might not be possible to land him because he's probably going to get a lot of money. He's listed as at least a top 10, free agent coming into this year's free agency class, so it might be very hard to get somebody like him. Maybe we can go the route of maybe a James Bradbury, which will also, right, he's a little older. He's 29 years old, 6'1", 210 pounds. He does have links with the Philadelphia Eagles, which is where Jonathan Gannon came from. So I would love the Arizona Cardinals to possibly pounce on a James Bradbury. I actually liked him when he first hit the free agency market before, the Philadelphia Eagles ended up signing him. But, right now he is still available. Now, we do gotta, go ahead and be cautious when it comes to these free agents as well, because we've seen some teams bring in some free agents that's on a big contract that don't really work out, or there's like a lot of injuries as that player gets older. So obviously the Arizona Cardinals need to be very careful on who they decide to bring in. But honestly, I think James Bradbury or Jamel Dean would be an absolute steal for the Arizona Cardinals, and it would automatically help out our secondary because, like I said a little earlier, right now we don't know if Byron Murphy's coming back, right? Right now we just have Marco Wilson, and our cornerbacks still kind of look a little scarce. So if we can bring one of those two, and then, you know, Byron Murphy, and that might take up all our cap right there. But I do think it's very important for the Arizona Cardinals to possibly target somebody, right? Maybe not a big name like James Bradberry or Jamel Dean, but, you know, obviously we need to address that position, and those two would be absolutely, you know, hit it out of the ballpark if the Cardinals were to land somebody like them. Let's move over to the defensive line, a player that I would love the Arizona Cardinals to possibly target. Now, please keep in mind, I'm not saying the Arizona Cardinals are going to get James Bradberry plus this defensive lineman and plus, you know, that person I'm going to mention a little later. No, I mean, if we get one of these, you know, 3 or 4, 5 people, right, that I'm talking about, I think that would be absolutely huge for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm aware that we're not in the best state at this very moment, but let's dive right into this defensive line, right? I think there's a lot of people that really want to get Javon Hargrave. Came from the Philadelphia Eagles as well. The only kind of concern I have about him is that he's 30 years old, and I think he's going to be wanting to get paid pretty big. Now, if we do get a Javon Hargrave, I would definitely welcome him with open arms, but being that he's 30 years of age, I'm not going to touch that. Who I would really like is Daron Payne. Defensive lineman and plays for the Commanders, or used to play for the Commanders, right? Now, I do think that if the Commanders were smart, they'll probably bring him back, but honestly, right now, he is listed as a possible free agent, so that is going to be the number one guy that I would want right over cornerback or over, you know, anything else. I think he would be an absolute crazy get if the Arizona Cardinals can possibly land a Daron Payne. Now, yeah, I understand he's gonna be very expensive, right? He might be one player that we might get in free agency, but man, if there's any player that I would love the Arizona Cardinals to open up some cap room for, is going to be Daron Payne, and he's 26 years old. He's a beast. He's a freak of nature. So I would love for the Arizona Cardinals to do something like that on the defensive line. Now let's move over to the offensive line here. I think it's no surprise here that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be going through a lot of, you know, turnaround when it comes down to this year's free agency. I think we have like 25, 30 plus unrestricted free agents heading into this offseason for the Cardinals. So there's going to be a lot of turnaround. Our team's going to look really different heading into this next year. So when it comes down to, you know, tackles or anybody on the offensive line, I do want the Arizona Cardinals to possibly get somebody, but I think it would be somebody like that's a veteran, and that's going to be somebody that's a really good depth more than anything. What I would love the Arizona Cardinals to do this coming year is to actually build from the draft, get young, talented players from the draft, right? Now, let's say, for example, the Arizona Cardinals go defensive lineman, right, in the first round, right, either edge or the interior. Now, the second round, the third round, I at least hope and pray that the Arizona Cardinals can possibly get a tackle or a guard, because we need to make sure that that's position is solidified for the future. Yes, we can go out there and get a free agent, but I feel like that's just been the cause that the Arizona Cardinals has been doing for a very long time, right? It's always a band-aid fix, right? 2 to 3 years. I want some offensive linemen that are going to be here for 4 or 5 years, right? You know, especially the ones we draft and we can get really cheap coming out of the draft. So that's what I would like the Arizona Cardinals to do. Now, quarterback is a big question mark, right? Now, we don't know what's going to happen with Kyler Murray. I hope he's going to be available by week 1, right? It seems like he's training in the right direction. He's already, you know, spinning away on a bike. And, you know, it's a big deal, right? It is a big deal. But if the Arizona Cardinals were to, by any chance, get a quarterback in this free agency market, I do think that the Arizona Cardinals can possibly get somebody like a Baker Mayfield. Now, can he stay with the Rams? Possibly, right? Jacoby Brissett. Now, Jacoby Brissett is linked, I guess I would say linked to the Arizona Cardinals because of Drew Petzing comes from the Cleveland Browns. And, of course, Jacoby Brissett played for the Cleveland Browns. So that would be kind of cool to have him as a bridge, either a second string or a third string quarterback, because what I would want is actually for the Cardinals to draft a quarterback too and have a real serious quarterback competition in training camp, especially if Kyler Murray isn't ready for week 1. So Jacoby Brissett is a name. Also Baker Mayfield is a name out there, and Taylor Heineke, right? I think Taylor Heineke doesn't get a lot of love because of him playing with the Commanders for as long as he did, but honestly, I like Taylor Heineke. I really do. I kind of would want to see him in a different uniform. I would like to see him get the opportunity to kind of come into a team. He reminds me of a Case Keenum, right? A guy that can definitely really do very good things, but hasn't really got the opportunity. Now, he's 30 years old as well. His stats aren't the greatest, but we don't need him to be Aaron Rodgers. We don't need him to be Tom Brady. We don't need him to be anything other than a bridge quarterback that's going to get us through the weeks that Kyler Murray isn't here. So those are some names to kind of throw out for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, like I said a little earlier, this is going to be one of those situations that we might not have the grandest, right, free agency class. We might not have the most, spectacular moves happening because right now we got about $13 million of cap space. Now, next year, I think per over the cap, we're supposed to have a lot of money. Now, this might be the way the Arizona Cardinals are going to rebuild. At this very moment, if we can get at least one of the targets that I said, one or two of the targets, that would be absolutely great for the Cardinals heading into this year, because I still want to win. Rebuilding or not, I want the Arizona Cardinals to win. Let me know if there's any other names that you guys want out there that I haven't mentioned. Definitely let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, go Cards.